Welcome, and thank you for joining us for another beautifully blessed, peaceful, prosperous, productive, and phenomenally powerful night. We are your hosts, Tori the Barber, the one and only, the only one under the sun, and the man with the plan. My right-hand man, there's none other than Free Will Cole.
What's happening? Free Will Cole in the building. Thank you and welcome to another edition of the Free Will Podcast, where we create a community that inspires and empowers growth. You know, while helping each other become the best versions of ourselves, huh? What's happening, Tori? How you doing today, my boy?
Man, we in the building for another one, and today is a special one indeed. You dig, man? I'm so grateful to be here in the building with you today, Mr. Cole. Before we get started, because I know you're getting ready to tell the people how your day was, man. Before we get started, this podcast is gonna be a very, very special podcast because I don't wanna really kind of break the how you call it when you kind of like spoil it. It's no spoiler alert, but this is gonna be this podcast is gonna be very sentimental, and it's gonna be like a page out of my spiritual journey. And so before we get started with this podcast, I just want to take the time to put God in this one real quick in the very, very beginning. And I just want us to bow our heads. And God, I just want to come to you in this moment. I want to come to you and express my gratitude, express our gratitude for having you be the fuel and the fire behind this moment. Thank you for making this moment possible. Thank you for making this happen. Thank you for making this moment, this episode, this podcast, everything that it is and everything that it will become, Lord. And I just want to thank you for that, man. I really pray that everybody who view and who is listening to this podcast are able to take something from this, from your wisdom, from your great book of wisdom, Lord. And I just want to put that out there so that everybody who is listening can take some sort of heed and be even able to take some of this wisdom and its value and maybe minister it to somebody else who may be needing it because they just heard it from us. So we just want to thank you for being a part of this moment.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Yeah, it did.
Man, that was
so. Yeah,
awesome.
I just wanted to get out the way, Cole, man. But man, look, tell them people how your day was.
Man, my day was pretty good, man. Pretty productive. Got some things done. I had a late night last night getting some things. Sometimes, you just gotta. Sometimes if you got a lot of stuff on your plate, man, you just gotta get it out the way right now.
Yeah.
Like, don't do that to your tomorrow self. Sometimes, you know what I'm saying. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling relieved. I'm feeling like, I got a whole lot ahead of me, and I'm ready to tackle it. You know what I'm saying? 100%. So I'm feeling good, man. What about you, man? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling super. Listen, my day today was a very, very, very great day, and I'm feeling super duper energized. I think this is the first time, not the first time that we've ever prayed before a podcast, but the first time we've ever did it on camera in the podcast, and I just feel I feel pumped. I feel super duper excited and enthusiastic about this particular episode, man. So maybe a special one, man. I feel it really great, man. But telling people what you grateful for, Mr. Cole.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, God, I gotta bring you back in the game because that's where you belong. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful for you. I'm thankful for the man up above. You know what I'm saying? I'm thankful for everything that he's done for me and continues to do for me. You know what I mean? I'm thankful for the first lady. Shout out the chocolate queen, the chocolate goddess. You know what I'm saying? Man, I'm thankful for her. I'm thankful for I'm thankful for my pops. Shout out my pops, man. It's my dad, man. Look, listen, that's where I get the good looks from. You know what I'm saying?
That boy definitely look like his pop.
Listen,
he definitely look like his dad.
Yeah. That's where I get the foundational looks from. You know what I'm saying? My mama gave my beauty, but listen, man, I'm grateful for Small Things Update. Toe said last podcast that I say small things, but a lot of things that we don't acknowledge that we think is a given. So we look at it like it's small.
Yeah.
So we take it for granted. I'm gonna just say my eyesight, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm able to see. Yeah. I'm able to see in color, bro. I'm able, like, I don't have, like, how people like I'm colorblind. I'm not I'm not any of that, bro. Like, that's like, shout out to the people who are and still running life, bro. But like, it gives me a lot of joy and a lot of sometimes it gives me guilt because I ain't doing what I need to be doing with it. You know what I'm saying? But man, I'm so grateful for that. I'm so grateful that I have those things. That I have that. You know what I mean? I'm able to use it, man. What about you? What you grateful for today, man?
Man, I'm grateful. All praises to the Most High, man, and everything that He's doing in my life. All the work that He's working on me. You know, I'm constantly under construction, you know what I'm saying? And I'm growing to be the best version of myself every day. Mm-hmm. So I'm thankful for God for being the field and the wind beneath my wings and carrying me along my journey and lighting my path. Man, I'm thankful for the First Lady of the Free Will Podcast, my best friend, my number one supporter. Ain't none of that ever changed, man. And I'm super duper thankful and I'm grateful for her for still being extremely fundamental and foundational in my life today. Also, too, I'm thankful for to have 2 living parents, right? I'm thankful for my kids, Kaylee and Nevaeh. And also, too, I am thankful for my clients because I come on here every week as Tori the Barber. So it's only right that I put y'all on the stage with your boy. So shout out to each and every single one of them. You dig? Woo!
Yes, sir. Listen, we're going to go ahead on and bow our heads right quick.
Yes, we are.
And give a moment of silence for our brand new people.
Yes, Lord.
Our brand new people that was singing from God. I'm going to say that. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say that. You know, that's if you're here today, it's not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. Mm-hmm. And if you like what we do here today, go ahead on and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and drop a like anyway, you know, to show appreciation to us, you know what I'm saying? And know that we appreciate you for being here for this journey, you know what I'm saying? Because it's a long one and it's a tough one, but we willing to make it happen regardless, you know what I'm saying? You know, without further ado, let's drop that.
Word on the street. Word on the street. Word on the street.
The Mexican priest performed as a wrestler to pay for orphanage that nurtured thousands. If the headline to this story sounds oddly like the plot of the movie Nacho Libre starring Jack Black, well, that's because they are one and the same. Fray Tormenta was a masked wrestler that delighted crowds in Mexico's Lucha Libre circuit for years, but few would have known that underneath the mask there was a man of God, a drug addict turned priest who wrestled purely to raise money for an orphanage. The story, though decades old, resurfaced and was retold recently on a Spanish news outlet. Sergio Gutierrez Benitez was born in 1945, the second youngest of 18 children. By the tender age of 11, Benitez was addicted to drugs and proceeded down a path of crime, robbery, and odd jobs to fund his various dependencies. I started when I was 11 or 12. In this country, Mexico, drugs have always been very present. Recounted Benitez to El Confidencial, I did everything, marijuana and cocaine every day, even mushrooms from time to time, and a little after that, I started doing heroin. At age 20, Benitez was staring down murder charges after a friend of his gang he was in turned up dead. Fortunately, an alibi of drunkenly passing out in a bar elsewhere helped him evade the slammer. After that, he sought confession for reasons only he can say, but even though he was turned away for his wickedness, he joined the seminary and became a priest in the Pierist order, studying in Spain and Italy to cement his faith. After joining the Diocese of Texaco, he wanted to build a shelter for the city's many homeless children and orphans, but the costs were prohibitive. An early life of gang and street fighting in which he has stabbed, beat up, and shot left him with a high tolerance for pain, so he pulled on a Lucha Libre mask and started wrestling for 15 hours per hour under the name Fray Tormenta. He ended up wrestling for 23 years from 1977 to 2000, traveling from town to town, elbow dropping, tombstoning, and double-legging his way to semi-stardom. Relying on his mask to hide his identity, he eventually revealed his double wrestling colleague shortly before opening his orphanage, the object of his long fight at the turn of the millennium.
Yeah.
Wow. That is hell of a story.
Yeah.
I had to sometimes I cut it short, but I had to. Some of the details I just couldn't leave out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's
a colorful story for sure.
That's one of those reasons why, and I may be wrong. I got good reason though to think that people born back in the day had more to be appreciative of. Like for some reason, like there was not. It's a lot of stuff to be thankful for. You know, other than us who have more apparent abundance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the goals of the what you call that, man? We'll start with a P. The purpose back then was just so deep, man. Like come on, man. A priest, like you so deep with it, you gonna use everything you have, and the ego just gone.
Yeah.
Like there's no ego in this guy.
Yeah.
You can argue me down. I don't know him from a can of paint, but I believe that there's no ego in this guy. For you to be a priest, and you go and use what you have, which is, his story, like he was beaten, stabbed, shot up, whatever. So he know how to wrestle to go raise money. So he went and did that.
Yeah.
15 hours an hour, which back then was a lot of money. He went and did that. Especially in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Mexico, right? He went and every night he did that. Every night for a greater cause. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Man, we too weak with it, man. We too weak with it, bro. Oh man, that just get me pumped up, man. Cause it's oh man, what you think about that too?
I think that's a deep story, though. Like, cause even from his past, like from being on drugs, and he converted his life. And honestly, when we chose this particular word on the street segment, it's really kind of ironic that is involving a priest, and we kind of like leading today's podcast with the word, but. Man, it's just, for him to commit such a selfless act, for him to clean himself up, get himself together, and then find purpose for himself, and realizing that purpose for his life was in community and was in the youth. You know what I'm saying? And for less fortunate people, you know what I'm saying, in their life, and giving what he can, giving his life, giving his time, his resources, and just getting creative to add value. I think that's just a beautiful story, man, and everything that he did. All praises to the Most High, and I'm grateful for that story because it adds perspective, and it kind of like it kind of make you want to like find more detail and refine your character. You know what I'm saying? And get deeper, man. Like
that's it.
It just makes you want to get deeper, man. So
that's it. Get deeper. It's not deep enough. So I'm so selfish. So I can't even get out of bed in the morning most days.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna keep it Jewish. I can't get out of. I'm not even getting out the bed. But if you tell me if I could, I had to, like, if I wasn't getting out the bed, then people wouldn't have homes. Like, and that was cemented. Like it was like, you know what I'm saying? It would be different for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm just so selfish. I'm like, man, I gotta get out of bed so I could go to. It's just not deep enough, man.
Yeah, I like that.
And so
what you said.
the pursuit there.
A lot of people have that mentality. I gotta go to work today. I gotta go to the gym today. Or I gotta go do this. I gotta go to the grocery store. You like, what's going on? And
it's
when
about
you say,
man. It's not deep enough.
Yeah, like I got to. It's like you looking for something to be wrong with something that's really a blessing to be able to do. You know what I'm saying? And like I went to the gym. They got people in the gym working out and they ain't got no legs, but they in the gym getting it in. You know what I'm
hard.
They going hard in there.
Upper body
strong.
up there. Yeah,
man. I'm trying to tell you. And you complaining? Like, come on, man. Be for real, man. So it's always something to be grateful about, man, and just be thankful for sure.
Yeah, man. So what we talking about today, man?
Today we are talking about why it's important to lean and accept wisdom and guidance from your parents, but just wise counsel in general. Along my journey in my spiritual pursuit and becoming a better version of myself, but getting stronger in my faith, recently I kind of committed myself to take on the book of Proverbs. Now, if anybody know, if you don't know, you're about to learn that the book of Proverbs is the book of wisdom in the Bible. And so just me kind of being in a
Really
season to where I want to become more wise. You know what I'm saying? Like I just felt like and seeing how I'm in the Bible, and I've been, you know, operating on a plane to where every night before I go to bed, I make sure I read the scripture, I read the book. I'm getting in my Bible before I end my night, you know what I'm saying? And I pray before I get in the morning, you know what I'm saying? I mean, before I get my day started in the morning. But man, I was reading and I was thinking, I'm like, man, I want to develop my wisdom. I want to become more wise. And so I said, man, let me go to the book of Proverbs. And I got to the book of Proverbs, and sometimes what I do is I kind of skim through the word and I kind of see what exactly kind of stand out to me. But then I said this night, I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually take my time with the book of Proverbs. It's a book of wisdom. So we got to take it from the top. We got to take it from the beginning. And along that, the journey of me reading through the book of Proverbs in chapter 1, there was this portion of the first chapter that really stood out to me, and that is chapter 1 verses 8 through 19. And chapter 1 8 through 19 pretty much talks about the wisdom and guidance, but also too it talks about being mindful. I'm gonna just say it like this: being mindful of the company that you keep and the kind of people that you have around you and the kind of lives that they're living, and just being mindful of that. And so today, that's kind of like what we're going to be talking about. And then we're going to also share some stories maybe that we have experienced that, you know, is kind of like relevant to this story. So, man, y'all buckle up y'all seatbelts and let's get this show on the road. Yeah, it is.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So first thing first, man, I want to start off with the value of parental guidance, because that is actually what verse 8 starts off talking about, right? And it's the call to listen to parental instructions. And when we first started, Coach said, so when he said when we talking about wisdom and guidance, are we talking about, you know, guiding people or being guided, right? And so I said, well, look, let's go to the book. I'm glad you asked. Let me unpack it for you, right? So chapter 1 verse 8 says, my son, hear the instruction of your father, and do not forsake the law of your mother, for they will be a graceful ornament on your head and the chains about your neck. And it immediately take me back to when I was a youngin', before I jumped off the porch, right? And just the initial lessons that I learned from my parents, you know what I'm saying? Or even for those who may have not been raised with their parents, it's just your caregivers. Just that initial, those initial lessons, you know. I realized early on, well, I didn't look at it like this at the time, but my mama had certain kind of discernment that she would operate out of. So when it kind of came down to, like, you know, like the friend group I was hanging around, like, you don't need to hang with them, you know what I'm saying? Because I already know, you know, you got your parents come from a certain, they lived the life that you living. They didn't been through grade school, they didn't been through high school, so they know what life is all about for the most part, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But being able to take heed to your parents is a very important thing. And I realized, Cole, that especially like in my adult ages, there's still some things that I take heed. It's some lessons that I learned from my parents that really still stick with me today. But then there's also too, on the flip side of the coin, that there are some limitations to the type of things, the type of lessons and different things that they taught me. Because sometimes it's very natural, but sometimes our parents kind of like teach us out of limitation. They teach us out of lack. They at least teach us out of scarcity and out of fear sometimes too. So you got to kind of be mindful of exactly what you are receiving from your parents sometimes, and kind of like discern if this is more harmful for my journey, or if this is something that I can take with that. But what you think about that, Cole?
Yeah, man, that's huge. I think first step, you know, so people don't miss it, is learning to learn and learning to take heed.
For sure.
And not necessarily at first looking at what's right and what's wrong. It's just the ability to know how to listen. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, after that, like that will take you a long way. You know what I'm saying? It'll take you a long way to be able to just take information and be able to do something with it. Period.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, after that, man, you know, as we grow older, and we start to get when we start to have our own lives and our own experiences, and we may start learning from somebody else, you know, we start to get things that maybe differ. You know what I'm saying? And I think that what gets me the most, and I still deal with it to this day, is who's right and who's wrong.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Who's you know, and how do you know who to listen to and who not to listen to, and when it's time for you to actually take the baton in that thing? Because that's how I look at it, right? Like, I look at it like, you know, you learn from this source, especially your parents. You take what they give you, they pour what they have
into you.
You. You take that and you take off running with it, you know. And then there's a time, I believe, when that guidance shouldn't be guidance anymore. It should be just be love and support. You know what I mean? And hopefully we can get into that, man, in that complicated kind of structure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think what you just said about that aspect to what I was saying, that's gold actually right there. It's like there's a time where as a parent, you raise your child, you lead your child. Like in the last episode, we was talking about them. Like a lot of things that we learn in our environment, we don't, as kids, we don't even have a say so. We don't have a right. We damn near can't even feel how we want to feel. We get told how to feel, what to do, and everything. But there comes a time when you reach a certain level or age or a level of maturity to where it transitions from being guided by your parents to just having support from your parents. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's something that's extremely important to what you just said, because that can turn into let's just say like a parent controlling or micromanaging their child, or even trying to live through their child. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like pointing them in certain directions. So in order for a child to be growing into an adult and be self-reliant, it takes for the parent to kind of like release the grip and then, you know, just be more supportive and administer advice when, you know, when it's really necessary.
When it's necessary, because there's like, we can't there's things that my dad knows and he's gonna know no matter what I learn or not, right? And maybe he has the best thing that's needed, right? But I still need to go through it. Once it's up to him to list, like, go ahead and do that. You know, I have something for you. You can take it, or you want it. You know what I'm saying? I could give it to you. You know, or even here's that. You can use it or not. You know what I'm saying? This was my experience. You can go and do your thing, you know, but I'm not going to be like, hey, don't do that. You need to do this. You know, I told you not to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because there's learning and then there's experience. You know what I'm saying? And then the sometimes, especially with young men, I believe where I grew up is the experience comes first sometimes, and then you know, we gotta learn how to learn afterwards. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's major, man.
Yeah, that's 100%. And I just wanted to point out an example of like where parental guidance made a difference for me. I just want to just share this quote, and I've shared it before on a podcast, but one time, this is just, it sticks with me because it's so profound. You know, my daddy, this is something that my daddy kind of taught him and told him. He said, don't follow the crowd, let the crowd follow you. And that is so important, man, because, you know, we living in a society where we copying off of each other, or we just trying to do the next thing that looks hot. You know, we just kind of like, we stuck in the social media illusion of what the world's supposed to be like. Or we even have cases where we maybe sometimes dumb ourselves down to fit in, you know what I'm saying, to fit into the crowd. But what you doing is you throwing dirt on the light that God put in you in order for you to shine on the world and share your true self with the world and really give value to the world. you know what I'm saying, subscribing to the wrong people, the wrong groups, and the wrong way of living. You dig?
Come on, man. Listen, that's major, man. Like, I couldn't have said that any better, because you like that's what we do, bro. Like, we see, like, okay, cool. Everybody doing the podcast thing. Let's do the podcast. You know what I'm saying? And maybe a podcast will benefit you, but you have your own individual purpose, which should actually come out through the podcast.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But you just doing it because everybody else doing it, and you want to look good like everybody else is looking good, because that's what you seeing. You know what I'm saying? They getting praised for it. Like, they getting benefits from it. They getting money from it. They getting paid like they living a life.
Yes.
But behind every great thing is a great purpose.
Yes.
You know, everybody who's doing something on a major level, because I choose to believe that God, in a certain light, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people in the light for the wrong things, but in a certain light where things will never waver for you, and you have a certain kind of support, God won't let you get there until your purpose matches His and the one that He has for you. You know what I'm saying? And you won't be connected to that thing unless you inside of that purpose. You feel what I'm saying? So that's major, man. Like, you disrespecting what you should be doing by making your purpose the fact that I won't be up. I won't be up too. I want the attention. You know what I'm saying? You doing it for attention, bro? That's weak.
Come on,
bro.
Come on, man. So yeah, weak, dog. Bro. That's strong right there. Well, not that what you're saying. That's weak, but you made a strong point. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You made a strong point, man. And so, going with that, and I just said something a minute ago that really kind of lead me into the next point, the next aspect, which is recognizing temptations and peer pressure. Now, I just said that my daddy told me, don't follow the crowd, but let the crowd follow you. Well, in this very same chapter, more specifically, verse 10 through 14, it actually talks about that. And this is by no coincidence. This is all in alignment, but it definitely talks about that. And more specifically, verse 10 of chapter 1 of Proverbs says, my son, if sinners entice you, do not consent. In other words, if let's just say you hanging out with your partners, and your partners was like, hey man, let's go hit this lick. Let's go over here. Let's go do this. Let's go test some stuff up. Like, if you know better, you know right from wrong, don't consent. Right. You know what I'm saying? Don't follow the crowd. Now, up in this chapter, up in this particular verse between 10 and 14, it talk about a whole bunch of different things. For example, it's like in 11, it says, if they say, come with us, let us lie and wait to shed blood, right? And you ask me, they saying, look, we trying to go catch a body. We trying to go hurt something.
Yeah, right, quick.
You know what I'm saying? We trying to go roll up on something. If they say, let us swallow them alive like shield and whole like those who go down to the pit. 13 says, we shall find all kinds of precious possessions. We shall fill our houses with spoil. Pretty much what he's saying is, what I'm getting from this is that he's saying, listen, we gonna go hit this lick. We gonna hurt something if we gotta go hurt something, but the reward is promising, because there's something that they got that we want. So what he trying to tell this young man to do in this particular scenario is, look, come with me. We gonna go hit this lick. They got that's an instantaneous prize that we gonna get. Whatever the outcome, if it's money, they got money. We gonna rob them for their money. That's instant gratification. But just follow along with me, because I'm about to take you around the bush. So it says, casting your lots among us, let us all have one purse. So which means, look, they gonna have enough for you, they gonna have enough for me, they gonna have enough for him, they gonna have enough for all of us. So let's go handle that business right quick, right? But 16, well, before I get too far, before I get too far ahead of myself, the Bible specifically told you and warns you against, following the path of sinners. People who you know doing wrong. People who you know ain't good for you. The same people your mom and your daddy told you about. The same ones when you was in school always was in detention. the ones who stood up to be the class clowns, the ones who, you know what I'm saying, the ones who, when you became a teenager, the ones who was in and out of juvenile hall and all these different things. That's the type of company that God is forbidding you to follow in their past, because of course, birds of a feather flock together. You see what I'm saying? And so in life, naturally and generally, we are surrounded by peer pressure.
Yeah.
Do you believe that there's a such thing as healthy peer pressure?
I do, man. Because you know, let's identify what the crowd is, right? The crowd is people who's already following the crowd, right? People who are, and then it doesn't necessarily mean that it's sinners, because that's a different thing, right? Because we don't need to be following sinners, and we don't need to follow the crowd.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We need to know how to follow leaders. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a different, like a leader is somebody who's doing his own thing and he's purposeful, right? And you'll know when that person is purposeful because he's doing something that, like, not everybody's not doing it, and you know what I'm saying, and he's making a difference, and he going his own way. Not everybody is doing that, right?
For sure.
So once you identify that, you want to get behind the leader, because before you're able to actually lead that crowd, before you're able to have that crowd follow you, you must learn how to follow. You know what I'm saying? And so once I figure out who that leader is in my life, because we all need one, Toe.
For sure.
We all need one, man. A lot of us, we trying to figure that thing out. We got sources here, we got sources there, but we don't have strong leadership in our life. And a lot of us, especially as young black men, you know, we look to our first example of that really is our fathers, right?
Yes.
Do we have that? You know what I'm saying? If we don't have it, then we don't even really know what that look like. You know what I'm saying? So you starting in a certain place. It's not, you know, it's really kind of unfortunate. But I urge you to go find that, man.
For sure.
Go find that. Go find somebody. That's fundamental. Go find somebody who is leading and go there. Like, go there. Like, don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had the YouTube thing. I go follow ET. Like, but at some point I went to Atlanta. I went there. You know, I had to go see it. Yeah, he had a show on the wall. I had to go. Yeah. I had to go there and be in the presence of a leader. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I can know what that feels like. Yeah. To be guided by someone who is worth guiding me, who already went through the following another leader. You know what I'm saying? And so to your question, is there healthy peer pressure? Yes, if you're in the presence of leaders and people who want to be leaders and who's not following following the crowd. Like if I'm around a big dog all day who a leader and he getting up every day, you know what I'm saying? He like, yeah, bro, look, I got the muscles. Come on now. That's what I get up every day and I work out. I got the muscles. I get the girls. If that's what's important to me, I'm getting like they're respecting me. I won't be respected. Yes. I'm out to get up and go work out. You know what I'm saying? I'm out to go make it happen, right? So know what your, you know, I think, you know, of course we know what we want, like what's your target, like we talked about in the last episode, you know, like what you want, you know, and there is low hanging fruit. I'm gonna be real with you. You know, people toss around what's right and what's wrong. You get different consequences from different actions and stuff like that. Let's not get that 100%. Let's not get that twisted. You know what I'm saying? You following the crowd, you get what that crowd get regardless, and you can never get what a real leader, a real crowd who's following real leaders can get.
Real talk.
You know what I'm saying? So your first thing would be to learn how to have that discernment. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that comes from your mama. Maybe she has that. Maybe she doesn't. But it is up to you ultimately, how rough that path may be, it's up to you ultimately to figure out what that actually looks like.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. And honestly, man, I really pray that this podcast reach a lot of young viewers, because a lot of times we don't have positive reinforcement or positive examples in our community. When I was 8, I moved to California after Katrina. That's where I relocated to. And the part of California I was in was this little town called Santa Maria. And that particular part of California was very, very gang affiliated, gang populated. And a lot of things was different, but at a very young age, like even when I hit middle school at 12 and 13 years old, going into middle school, I was seeing the same dudes who I was in class with, who seemed to be like a normal kid up in school. When he get out of school, he going jumping into a gang, or they already got the gang on the corner waiting for him to get out of school, and then they get him from school, and then they go do whatever they go do. You know what I'm saying? Selling weed in school, you know what I'm saying, at 13 years old. And sometimes we don't have, whether if you don't have your father present, or if he's in the house but he's not really, or he's around in your life but he's not really around for to be that example, sometimes we go to the next best thing, and that might be a big brother. But what if your big brother already diving off the deep end and you just want to be like your big brother, or you just, you know, so like what do you do when you just naturally growing up in a environment that breeds negativity, that breeds just a sinful lifestyle? You know what I'm saying? And I just think, looking back on it, when I was a kid, I didn't really think too deep of it. I know it wasn't right, but and I used to ask myself, why do you want to go be a part of a gang where the initiation to get in the gang is everybody beating the shit out of you? Like, I never understood that. You know what I'm saying? But I guess you know, some people just want to be a part of something.
Yeah, right. That's what it is, too. It's the perks. Like, we talking about, if we looking at the statistics of the people who join in those gangs, they've never been a part of something, even a family.
Yeah.
So if I can even just be a part of something, and to be honest, when you inside those gangs and you doing your thing as a member, you can treat it right. Or you can treat it right. You can fed every day. You got brothers. You can go sleep by anybody's house. Like, you got people who actually care about you, and they gonna make sure you good.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You getting love from, like, we talking about like gangs in certain countries, right? We in Mexico, and they got people like the MS-13. Like, they got connections everywhere. It's damn near like a sorority.
Fraternity,
you can go somewhere, fraternity. You can go somewhere else and be accepted and have a place to eat, a place to stay. You know, you got the women, whatever it is that you need, you got that, right? Right? So, you know, if we don't sometimes, bro, like, sometimes some of us don't make it because that's the only example that we have.
Yeah. And
that's it. And for people who watching, always, no matter how certain that thing looks, always go get a second perspective.
For sure.
Before you and weigh the things. And it's hard to go get a second perspective. I won't get into that. But do your best to look at the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, even if I'm sure this thing is positive, let me go look and see what happened if I join the gang. What's the pros and the cons? You know what I mean? And then what's the pros and the cons of this thing, right? And weigh them. Like, be real. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, make your decision based off of that. That's currently with my present. That's what I have for that.
I would say make your decision, well, along with what Coach said, make your decision based off of what's promised in the long run. Because
I like that.
Immediately you might, like I was just reading, like you might go hit a lick and you might come up on some money. You might hit a lick for the most money that you ever made in your life, right? But then you gotta reap that.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, you still gotta answer for that. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta believe that though, too. That's a fact. You gotta believe that though.
Come on now, you do, and it's very, very important. It's so fundamental, and just I'm so grateful that I was able to have that experience and that transition in my life to where I was able to experience that kind of thing, and just to kind of have that to do it, just what Coach just said. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like compare the two and just kind of choose how I wanted to live my life. So I asked you about peer pressure, and was there positive peer pressures? Because naturally peer pressure has a negative connotation, but the ultimate point I want to highlight when we talking about peer pressure is pretty much just being mindful of who your company is, Because if you hanging out with hot girl summer, you gonna want to be a hot girl. You see what I'm saying? If you want, if I don't know what's the guy version of hot girl summer, but whatever niggas out here doing in the street these days, like if they doing that, being bums, being and stealing and doing all this and just effing on women but just that, like, you're gonna want to do that too, because you're gonna want to prove yourself, prove your worth, prove your value. But look at the things that you have to do to prove you are who you say you are, or who you want to be based off of your environment. You know what I'm saying? With not quota, but just what level are you trying to rise to in your environment? You know what I'm saying?
Like,
so you just gotta be able to.
We not that deep, too. Like we not that deep. Literally, if it's what I'm seeing, it's what I'm perceiving, it's what my brain is feeding on. We're not that deep. If you have it around you, you're gonna become a product of it.
Absolutely.
You don't have control over that. Like, you can't be like, okay, we have a margin of control, but why are you trying to fight that though? Why are you trying to
margin of control?
Why are you trying to fight the small margin of control that you would have in an environment? Because we've already established, if you're not watching our last, we've already established that environment is the beast. That's the big dog. I was just talking to India about some stuff, right? And she was like, you know, like when she's there, she was saying, like, even in basement, even when nobody's watching over me, I'm still on it. I'm still there because the environment has been established as me. Like, it's like, if you here, you on it, period.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's something that's not really something that you have. Like you didn't, like, she didn't say that. It's like she didn't establish that, and she don't really have to do much of, she don't really have to have much intention with that. So the environment is working for her. Yeah. Right? It'll work the same way on the other side, bro. So it's like, why are we fighting that? Why are we fighting something that powerful when we don't have to fight it? You know what I'm saying?
Just let it work. Put yourself in a position to where your environment gonna work for you.
Come on, man. And it's hard, bro. I gotta let it go. Sometimes I gotta leave moms behind. Sometimes I gotta leave my partners behind I grew up with. Sometimes I might have to leave my girl behind. I gotta leave my city behind. What I love my city, bro. I know every crack and crevice of it, and everybody love me there. But I gotta leave, bro, because I'm comfortable, and they gonna take care of me. And because I know I'm always gonna be taken care of, I'm never going to reach a certain level, because I'm never gonna do what I like. In order, like, knowing me, and I'm speaking from a personal, thing, like knowing me, too. In order to get the best out of me, too, I gotta be somewhere where only I'm accountable. And if it doesn't, because I know one thing, I know me, I know I snap in the gear when I might not eat tomorrow. Yeah, I get busy. I'm knocking on doors, like
whatever it takes.
I'm getting busy. So if I know that about myself, why am I not putting myself in that predicament? You know what I'm saying? Because it feels like, I don't know, it feels like a death. Like, it feels like it's scary, bro, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? They kind of leave it right there. Yeah. But what's scarier to me as I think about it is me not ever reaching my full potential.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
I want to kind of continue the close of this chapter, man.
Yeah.
And I really like this part of the chapter. Really hit home, because we could talk it all day long, but this is coming from the good book itself. And this part pretty much talks about the consequences of following the wrong path. Any choice that you make is gonna always have it's a consequence embedded in it, attached to it, whether it's a positive consequence or a negative consequence. The reason why the whole point of everything that we've been saying, just what Coach just said, like, listen, you don't gotta fight your environment. Just make sure your environment is an environment that breeds success, that an environment that breeds growth, an environment that pushes you to become the best version of yourself, and go with that flow. You see what I'm saying? But when you going subscribing to environments that that you doing damn well you ain't supposed to be a part of.
Yeah.
When you hanging with people you know you're not supposed to be hanging out with, it's only so long you can fight the fight against what they doing before you do what they doing. You see what I'm saying? So
Period.
to kind of like push back on to get back to the closing. This is the last few chapters, right? Pretty much 15 to 19. He said, "My son, do not walk the way with them. Keep your foot from their path." And the Bible is directly telling you, like, listen, you know better. You know you're not supposed to be hanging around with them, but don't follow in their ways, right? It said, "For their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain." Now this is where it get deep. Now this verse 17. Yeah. This really when I get, you know what I'm saying? This is surely in vain the nest is spread in the sight of any bird, right? Which means that like all of that plotting, all of that scheming, all of that lurking that they doing, all this work that they putting in to do the wrong things, what they think they really about to get out of it, all of that's about to be in vain because they putting all this effort and intention into the wrong things. 18 says, "But they lie in wait for their own blood." You remember how earlier it was talking about, you know, I think it was what was it? It was 11. Verse 11, it says, if they say, "Come with us, let us lie and wait to shed blood." Well, in 18 it says, "But they lie and wait for their own blood. They lurk secretly for their own lives." Which means when you out here and you plotting and scheming, you think about taking lives, or you trying to lead people in the wrong ways, you really leading yourself to the pit. You really shortening your days, right? You really stirring up this gumbo pot of karma that you gonna have to answer for the things that you doing. So 19 says to close it out, so are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. I'm gonna read it one more time for clarity. So are the ways of everyone who is greedy for gain. It takes away the life of its owners. So what that tell you is, when you in it for the wrong reason, when you in it for when you subscribe to something out of greed, when you doing something solely for personal gain, it takes the life of its own owners. How many times have we witnessed somebody do something for personal gain, in their own personal gain? I would say probably 90+% of businesses that fail. Listen, when I first started Entrepreneurialism Co., I was in that 90% of businesses that was failing because I was just thinking about myself. I was thinking about, how can I get up? How can I make more money? How can I get my clientele up? How can I? I wasn't even putting the consumer first. I wasn't even thinking about adding value to nobody first. But guess what? The life got sucked out of my plans before I even was able to embark on the journey, because it was selfish. It was greed. It was for my own personal gain. So then I changed the dynamic and I said, well, how can I put the value that somebody else is going to receive first? How can I build upon the quality of what I have to serve, and then let God do the rest? I think that this particular section, that 15 through 19, that's like my favorite part of it. Riches, I guess, is like the end cap of it. But it just tell me, like, be mindful of who you hanging around with. Be mindful of picking up on bad habits that people who not getting the results that you want to get are getting. Be mindful of, take that, remember that wisdom that you got from your mama, the wisdom that you got from your daddy, and take that and do right with it. Do right by it. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's just something that I wanted to share with y'all, man. I wanted to bring to the platform as I'm in my journey, on my spiritual journey. Because ultimately the choices that we make have consequences. And when you out here living bad, doing bad, there's gonna be some type of blowback. There's gonna be some type of backfire that come from that. So just be mindful of the seeds that you're sowing. Be mindful of the kind of energy that you're putting out there into the world, because it'll surely find you. It'll surely find you, and you're gonna have to answer for that, Mr. Cole.
Yeah,
what you think about that?
Tool talked about all of the things that we know are wrong. You drug dealing, you out here trying to shed blood and stuff like that. But also beware of the chilling crowd, the crowd who just be cool. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, don't have the outcome that you ultimately want. See, we be ignoring our dreams sometimes. Like I always say, if you was to push a button, if you can get this by pushing a button, would you get it? Would you do it? If the answer is yes, and you would push the button, then that means that's something that you really want.
Yeah. Right?
And there's a disconnect between getting that thing legitimate, like between where you are now and getting that thing legitimately. You know? And so, some of us around, you're like, man, I ain't around them crazy people, but y'all sit around, y'all smoke all day, y'all watch TV, y'all go to work, y'all give 30% but want 100% paycheck. You know what I'm saying? Y'all you get to the weekends, and the weekends is chilling instead of doing stuff that's gonna get you out of the situation you in. You know what I'm saying? Beware of the idle crowd. The crowd who stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's their favorite thing. Oh, I just stay out the way. Nah, bro. The person who gonna get what you want gotta be in the way. They really throwing havoc. To be honest with you, they really putting their foot in the door. You know what I'm saying? They're really making moves. So, don't think this just don't think you doing good just because you ain't with the people who obviously out here doing bad. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, beware of the people who are also not getting the results that you'd like to get. You know what I mean? So that's what I wanted to add to that,
that's
man.
That's a whole word, man, Mr. Cole. Man.
Yes, sir.
Man. That concludes another episode of the Free Will Podcast, man. God, I just want to thank you for being in this moment, being a part of this moment, and allowing your word to be the platform and the premise of the podcast for today. Man, we just want to personally thank each and every single one of y'all who was in attendance, each and every single one of y'all who was attentive, each and every single one of y'all that have subscribed, that made a commitment to the Free Will Podcast, and who actually participate in the comments. We want to thank y'all for the value that y'all bring to the podcast, and we want to thank y'all for allowing us to help y'all become the best versions of y'allself as we become the best versions of ourselves as well. Mr. Cole.
Yes, sir.
Let the people know they can meet us here next Friday, 8:30 Central Time. Don't jump the gun on them now.
Yeah.
But let them know, don't just meet us there.
Meet us there. You heard me.
And just like that, we out.